sister would ever do that. Man, it's good to be home. Man, it's good to be home. My goodness. Look at you all, man. Just as cute. I dropped something. What do y'all think about all this, man? Man, didn't they do a great job? This really surprised me when they put this together. They told me about, hey, sweetie, they told me about putting all this stuff together and having it set. And when we first started talking about going around the state and having conversations and really just kind of connecting with people about this more or less listening/announcement back to listening tour, I never thought it would be this magnificent. I really didn't. And you talk about just a hard group of workers. This, for me, is really my home. This is where, for Charles and for Roshan, for our family, this is where it really started. Patrick and Mary, they cornered me in a Starbucks almost 4.5 years ago. I kid you not. And they looked at me across the table after at least they bought me apple spice first, a caramel apple spice first. And they sat me in the corner and said, we're going to drop some news on you. You're going to run for Congress against Steny Hoyer, and we're going to help you. Yeah, and I looked at Patrick and I looked at Mary, and I thought to myself, now, we've been talking about a statewide run. You all want to talk about running for Congress, and this guy, Steny Hoyer, is probably one of the most popular congressmen that at least Southern Maryland has had in such a long time. At the time, he was. And he'd been a 34-year politician. He had been in the House for at least 24 years. And my thought was, I'm just a business guy, and I had no idea how popular the Burks were at that time. I had no idea they had, stock in St. Mary's County, for crying out loud. But I know that with God and your faith and you, it's automatically a majority. I know that where there are 2 or 3 together, he's in the midst. And I certainly understand that you can look at the impossible and you can achieve it. But that to me was huge. But my goodness, it was St. Mary's County, and I know where I am in Mechanicsville, right on the verge between St. Mary's and Charles County. But for those of you that came down from Harford County, Ellicott City, from Frederick, Maryland, from Eastern Shore, and you guys are going to be traveling with me for this entire week, please know that without St. Mary's County, there would be no Achieve the Dream, there'd be no bus tour, we would not be running for the governor of this state, because what happened here in St. Mary's County blew me away. It's a testament that I use everywhere I go across the state. Every person I talk to. Because what St. Mary's County did, and people always want to give the candidate all the credit. The candidate deserves very little credit. In my opinion, if you have the right organization in place, and where's Karen? You've heard me say this, Karen Winterling. If you have the right organization in place, you can run Kermit the Frog for president and he'll win. I'm convinced of it. Pastor, I didn't want to say that, but you knew where I was going. And somebody in the meeting is going to take that the wrong way. I'm not calling our president Kermit the Frog. I didn't call him that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But what I did say was, certainly this past presidential election has taught us something, that if you have a strong enough organization, even if your economy's in the dumps, even if you lost more jobs than you gained, even if you had a mass exodus of business persons leaving your country, you can still win the presidency of the United States. And here in the state of Maryland, we've seen you can have the worst economy in the country, you can have the 3rd worst state to do business in. Only in Maryland can someone tell you that they have recovered 99% of their jobs since 2008 downturn without even looking at your own numbers from the Department of Labor and seeing that in 2008 unemployment was 3.6%, in 2013 unemployment 7.5%. I'm not a rocket scientist, but if I was at 3.8 and I'm now at 7.5, but yet you tell me you recovered 99% of those jobs I lost then, something's not making sense and something doesn't add right. Only in Maryland do these types of policies continue to dictate and people are allowed to actually get elected behind it. But I'm telling you, Marylanders, St. Mary's, family, friends, those days are over. They're going to come to an end. We're going to put these things to an end. You know why? Because we can. Because we must. I was quoted in the paper saying that Lieutenant Governor Brown ought to be ashamed that he's even running. And I mean that sincerely. How in the world he can even, and again, this is not a Democrat thing, it's not a Republican thing. Heaven knows it's not a black thing. Some of y'all will get that on the way home. Heaven knows it's not a black thing. But if I was in any type of administration that has pushed 33% of my manufacturing jobs out of my state, if I was part of any administration that continues to see unemployment stay at 7% or higher, and by the way, in August, it was 7.5%. If I was in any part of a state that would attempt to redefine marriage, not an attack against people who want to live together if they're in same sex. We don't attack people for doing that, but why would you ever want to redefine the word marriage that's biblical and older than us all? We miss the principle of the argument behind the rhetoric. As governor, I'm not running to be your priest. I'm running to be your governor. That simply means I'm responsible for every penny you send to Annapolis. I don't want to come to Patrick's home and tell him who he can marry or, who he can be with or not be with. But here's what we have to understand and communicate this across the board. This is not about who you're with. Please write that. Republicans don't dislike people who have decided to marry within their same sex. That's their business. It's not about us disliking those types of people or any type of people. What we can't stand for is the redefinition of words that are older than us and have their roots in biblical principles. That's the bottom line. It really is that simple. Somehow we're made out to be everything but who we are. All we are is a bunch of freedom-loving, constitutional-minded, focused on prosperity people that believe in one nation under God with liberty and justice for all. That's all we are. That's all we are. So, and I tell you what, this wonderful group of volunteers and staff members, our campaign manager, all these folks, they've given me the most amount of time to speak right here in St. Mary's County. Aren't they good to me? And I'm going to use every bit of it. So why in the world would I want to run for governor when after this group in St. Mary's County not only made a bold statement, but caused the then majority leader to have to start spending his own money against some no-name business guy from Southern Maryland. A team in St. Mary's County, I have to throw this out there, and the media, you got to write this, that managed to take the then majority leader, and where he used to have the majority of votes in his own county, switched it on him, and he lost his own county to some unknown name business leader. I can't imagine what it's like to be a congressman driving home when I do come home, knowing that the majority of people in my own county didn't even vote for me. Why in the world when Charles and Rocha, when we have so much success and so many friends and so much support in such a beautiful county as St. Mary's, why in the world would I want to run for governor? I am so glad you asked. We did something, family, and I'm going to be a little candid with you. I don't mind if they copy this and print it, but we did something, family, that blew the state of Maryland away, and it still has repercussions beyond our state borders. Many outside of our state. In fact, we've got two here from Arizona that came all the way from Arizona to be part of this. What happened, what you did here, it made people perk up and look and listen. So out of 5 counties in a congressional race for Congress, we won 3 of them. You all won 3 of them. And then you took St. Mary's County and flipped it Republican for the first time in its history. Did the same thing in Calvert County. You talk about being nervous. One of the first order of business was Governor O'Malley and Congressman Hoyer. They paid a trip down here to St. Mary's County to have a meeting. And that's when they started, Tommy, redrawing those funky lines. They didn't gerrymander for the civil rights purposes. They gerrymandered to protect their turf because for the first time in Maryland's history, there are more conservatives that are local elected officials than there are liberals for the first time in this state. The handwriting's on the wall. And Chip, we did not have but 31, 32 days to focus on Prince George's County and Charles County in order to win that congressional race back in 10. And even with only 31 days, we still garnered 18 to 19% of the vote in Prince George's County, the most at that time since even when Larry's father ran for Congress down here. So we got our heads together. Roche and I and Patrick, we all sat down. We re-sat down again. And we all talked this thing through. Marguerite and John. And here's what we said, Stan and Helen. Here's what we said. If we could make that kind of a ruffle in 31 days in that county of Prince George's County, where Prince Georgians started to see it, they started to buy into the American dream that we proposed. One that had nothing to do with racism. One that had nothing to do with entitlements. Nothing that had nothing to do with welfare. But rather one that had everything to do with a leg up, not a leg down. Changing policies to prosper people. They started seeing a dream that we were creating. We don't even call them Republican principles. We call them American principles, because that's all they are. They saw something great. And we said it this way, didn't we, Patrick? If we can get 19% there, imagine what we could do if we had 12 to 14 months to work in that county. See, what we're tired of politicians doing, regardless of party affiliation, is coming back and saying Prince Georgians and folks in Montgomery County and folks in Baltimore City, they just will never vote for us. We're tired of that. We're tired of people saying, well, we've been to Prince George's, we've been to Baltimore City. Those people don't listen. We are tired of hearing that. We are tired of hearing that. We know that Prince Georgeans listen if you at least show up and talk to them. The days are over, Chris, when you show up for a church service and leave and say, well, I've been to Prince George's County. That's not how you win a friend. So Roche and I embarked on it, and some folks think we went AWOL. We didn't go AWOL. Of course, the Marine Corps had something to do with that, absent without leave, as they sent me to Saudi Arabia for a year, and then the Pentagon for 2. But in the midst of that, Jenny, Roche and I, we went through Prince George's County. We're still in Baltimore City. We went into Montgomery County. One of the strongest contingents of support and volunteers we have currently right now is in Prince George's County. They got a group, Dan, our commissioner and a Marine to me. Dan, we've got a group of Prince Georgians that call themselves Patriots for Lollar. And they boldly said this. They said, we're not going to switch our party affiliation. We'll always be Democrats. But we will give you a chance. Because what you say makes sense. And at least you care enough to keep coming back. We're going to keep doing that. We're in Baltimore City on Friday doing Bless Baltimore walks. You know why? Because a councilman, Democrat from Baltimore City, walked up to me while we were going through, because we go through some of the roughest neighborhoods in Baltimore City. You know what we do, sir? We just grab hands and pray with people. And tell them freedom's for them too. Freedom is for you too. And a councilman, Councilman Mobley, write that down, councilman in Baltimore City, he came to me and he said, Charles, I just got sick and tired. And I now understand that you just can't bring enough money into a place to stop violence, to stop the issues of poverty, things that are going on in my city. He said, I'm frustrated with it. You can't tax people enough to make this right. He said, so I'm going to do what my grandmother taught me. I'm going to start praying. And he formed, a councilman in Baltimore City, formed a group of people that's now up to 300 that every Friday walk through the city of Baltimore praying for people. All colors, black, white, Republicans, Democrats. I was honored at one point to even lead prayer and lead the march one weekend. And there was an excerpt, you can actually Google this. There was an excerpt, and because I don't let people know what Roche and I are doing. I don't walk into Baltimore City and say I'm running for governor, that's why I'm here. I say I'm a concerned citizen, that's why I'm here. Somebody found out because we couldn't keep it quiet. There's an excerpt out there, it's been blogged, it's in the process of going viral, and the heading reads, finally a Republican comes to Baltimore City. have went out on a limb and asked those that are running on the same ticket as myself. I even told one gentleman, if you would just come, I will introduce you as the governor running for Maryland. I don't even let these folks know what I'm doing. I beg them to come. These are fellow Republicans. They will not come. But yet they'll say that they won't vote for us. I'm tired of that. Either you're serious or you're not. Now, y'all have heard me say this before. It doesn't matter who you support, but whoever you support them and push their backsides to the 3 counties that make a difference in this state. Insanity is defined by doing the same thing and expecting different results. We believe that the dream that our founding fathers established in this nation, we believe that the dream that Martin Luther King Jr. so eloquently spoke over 50 years ago in Washington, D.C. We believe that the dream of America is all the same, entwined together. That as long as the conditions for prosperity and greatness are set before any human being, and you extend to them the freedom to pursue their own happiness, and you take off the safeguards and the training wheels, and don't give people a fish but teach them how, so they can fish as long as they want, become millionaires from their own banks. We believe if we serve that dream properly, majority of Americans and Marylanders will aspire to achieve their dreams. That's why we call this the Achieve the Dream Tour. We want to appeal to not just Republicans but Democrats, not just Democrats but independents, not just independents but business owners, not just business owners but state government employees, not just state government employees but military personnel. The dream that the founders had for our nation and the dream that Martin King had for our nation, they're one and the same. That we would not be judged by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. That we have an opportunity in this nation where we can do great things, and excuse me, but I don't need a pass just because I'm brown. I didn't get here because I was brown. I might have got here because I was a Marine. But I didn't get here because I was brown. Could have been some business there. But I got there because a little lady from Decatur, Georgia, she decided to believe in this guy. This guy, Charles, that had nothing. I remember, and just in case you didn't know, I'm actually coming to a close of my speech. I remember when I got on my knee in that church, Big Bethel Baptist Church, and I was trying to get my then girlfriend to believe in this dream, that she could achieve this dream, although I didn't use quite those words at the time. But here's what I said to her. Susan, on one knee, I looked at her, I said, I don't have any money. In fact, I live with my parents. I'm a stock boy at Food Line. I'm sorry, Winn-Dixie. That's what I do for a living, Joe. That's what I told her. I'm on my knees, I'm in church. I didn't have a ring at the time. I'm basically broke. My future's probably dim. I still have to finish up school. I still live with my parents. But if you take a chance on me and believe in me, I promise you I will not let you down. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but if you believe in me, I won't let you down. Well, it's been 22 years, 21 years since I made that statement. And I'm here primarily because that little lady did not look down at me at that church. And she did not say no. Instead she said, I'll give you a shot. I'm here because Rosha believed in me. I'm here because I have 4 daughters who believed in me. I'm here because every day I wake up I realize that unless I put my hand to the plow, unless I work hard for those ladies, there is no way they're going to be successful. I don't run up to Tommy McKay, although he's a billionaire, and say, look, I need $1 million. I don't do that. I've never asked Tommy for that. I don't run over to Patrick and say, since you're the mayor of, yeah, might as well call him, the mayor of St. Mary's County, can you give me a job? I don't do that to Patrick. I've never once called Susan Bowling and said, look, I know your husband's a successful attorney. I know you got property all over the place. Can we build a piece of house on your property? I didn't do that. Chris, instead what I did was, I looked at the good Lord above, and I said, Father, you've given me 2 hands. You've given me 2 feet. And you put me in the greatest nation on your earth, where freedom lives. And I can achieve just about anything that I put my head and mind to. I'm asking you all here in St. Mary's County to do the same thing now. I might not be on a knee, but I'm asking you for help. Your supporters, your pastors, your businessmen and women, your friends, and your family. I'm going to need your help. There's 30, 40 people out here. We've got 4 more stops today. People are waiting, this size crowd as well, and in some cases even larger. We're doing this over the next 4 days. I'm inviting you all out on Friday at 6, 5, 4. Friday at 4 in Annapolis for our final grand finale of a week-long state tour, where we'll give our final announcement that we do intend to seek the nomination and position of Chief Executive Officer or Governor of the state of Maryland. And we want to get this done. Now I know when it comes to organizations, sometimes things get tough. Sometimes it's hard to get along with folks from the inside out. But if we can put those things aside long enough and stay focused on where Maryland needs to go, I know you sign, wave your arms off for Congress. These streets have seen you more times than you care to see them. And I'm asking you to go one more time. I'm going to go with you, you go with me. And here's what you have to look forward to. Day 1, we will pass a taxpayer's Bill of Rights. And we will not allow this state any longer to grow any faster than cost of living. We're going to ensure that we re-amend the Constitution, so if there's any tax increase in any bill, that it must first go before a referendum of the people if it goes beyond cost of living. We're going to give people school choice and provide tax credits and incentives. If you want to send your child to a private school, you'll get a tax credit for that because it makes sense. You're already spending $12,500 every year to educate your child in a system that doesn't even work for a lot of Marylanders. You're going to get that and a whole lot more. Wave a couple more signs. Wear your Achieve the Dream t-shirts. Come back out on Friday. Get a tour of our headquarters. Our headquarters, believe it or not, is right there on West Street in Annapolis. We're going to drive people crazy. We'll walk you down there. We got a reception at 5:30 on Friday. Will you meet me at the harbor on Friday at 4 o'clock? On behalf of my wife, Rosha wave over there. Rosha wave. Rosha, I'm talking to you. The only woman not listening to my speech. My grandson's keeping her busy. And yes, that is my grandbaby, Jaden. I know, pray for me, Deb. But he's so cute, though. I'll tell you what. Thank you for waving. Join me and that beautiful lady at our reception at 5:30. It's your reception. And together, we will achieve the dream in Maryland. God bless you all. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, family.
Charles is going to come down and chat with everyone.